Thanks for tuning in to the Hawkins Observer, a podcast where two half-lifelong friends recap every episode of Netflix's hit show Stranger Things in preparation for the final season that's being released this November. We'll share a recap of every episode along with our thoughts, our memories, and our reactions. In this episode, we're starting at the beginning. Season 1, Episode 1, The Vanishing of Will Byers, all the way back in 2016. Go back in time 9 years with us as we recap this episode, share our memories of it, and get introduced to the world of Hawkins, Indiana. I'm Nate. This is Chris. Let's get started.
I'm going to be real fidgety because I'm in an office chair that swivels and tilts.
I know, I am too.
I think so. For season 1, episode 1, the episode title gives it away, the whole episode.
Yeah.
But we don't know. We obviously don't know what we're getting into, but we know that
Right.
some kid is going to vanish.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, and it happens at the very beginning. I mean, it's not the first scene. Obviously, the first scene is at the lab,
uh-huh,
and then the second scene is the D&D game, and the
right.
third scene is the bike riding where he sees the
That's
monster
true.
for the first time. So
Yeah,
by the time we're 10 minutes into the show, by the time we even get to the title screen, I think,
I think so too. Before, I
which
think
I
it
don't
might
remember,
happened. I thought I wrote down when that happens.
like the whole intro sequence and the theme song.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, it's right
So
after the theme doesn't come in until after Will is vanished. So
the shed,
yeah. Or as I
after the
like to
shed
say,
scene,
as soon as Chit got real.
shit, yeah.
Yeah, so it opens on November 6th, 1983, Hawkins, Indiana, the National Laboratory. And you brought up when we were discussing about this earlier, the fact that that building is part of the US Department of Energy.
Or it claims to be, yeah.
And I don't
And
think
I
I'd
think that's
yeah, I don't think I'd noticed that in any of the times I'd watched the episode before, but that they specifically are claiming to be
yeah.
something energy related. That's interesting.
Well, and I think it's important to note that the narration, like the show tells us it's associated with the U.S. Department of Energy. It's
Yeah,
not like somebody at the lab claims we're with the U.S. Department of Energy, as
sure.
if we could dispute that later. Like it's the now you could still say, you know, the official story, the official report is that it's associated with the U.S. Department of Energy.
Yeah.
You could still dispute that, but yeah, which immediately is called upon when you have the lights flickering
Uh-huh.
in the lab, lights flickering at the at Mike's house,
Yeah.
the bike lights flickering.
So you grew up kind of close to an Air Force base. I grew up kind of close to
Yep.
some sort of, I think it's a nuclear power plant. I don't honestly know what they do, but that was all immediately really relatable. Like, you know, something's going on behind a fence, and I'll never know what really goes on back there because you have to have super high security clearance, blah, blah, blah. But like, even though it's a
Yeah.
small town, or we think Hawkins is a small town, having that laboratory there was like, you know, I had something down the street and I never knew what went on there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it could be that the citizens of the town just assume that it's some innocuous, like you said, I assumed it was a nuclear power plant. Like they might just think, oh, this is where our town gets its electricity.
That's
They
true.
might have zero idea. They might not even really think it's a secretive, nobody's really talking about what goes on there.
Yeah.
Um, so
And maybe if they do
and
work there,
even through
they
the
just say
episode,
they're doing
it's not
something
really talked
else.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People that work there could just
Yeah.
say, "Oh yeah, we make the town's energy or something."
Yeah. Well, and they might even think every every county has a laboratory, related to energy. It just so happens that Hawkins is the selected town for this because of whatever. So it doesn't really draw any suspicion.
Yeah. But it's immediately suspicious about 30 some seconds in when the guy's just running down the hall.
Yeah. There's alarm going off. Obviously, you've got lights flickering everywhere. Like something has clearly and immediately gone very wrong.
Yes. And the strange thing that happens is he thinks he gets free and makes it to the safe elevator, but somehow either that
Yeah.
creature or a second creature was waiting for him there in the elevator.
Yes. And we don't know if
Don't know.
we assume that whatever he was running from appears somewhere
Yeah.
above him. We don't
Somehow.
actually know that.
Nope.
Yeah. And we'll never find out actually if, at least in this episode, we don't know if there's multiple
Creatures, enemies,
yeah.
sources of evil. We don't
Yeah,
know.
we get a silhouette of it. We get a silhouette of it twice, and that's it.
And the sound of it though is immediately very interesting. I think I mentioned it. It sounds like it has a Leslie cabinet inside of it. It somehow can speed up and slow down
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
a whirring or a circular sound inside of it. Just bizarre.
I noted that it kind of sounds like it's not. So you mentioned a Leslie cabinet. I've always felt like that B3 organ sounds like it's in a it's like a three-dimensional sound. It's
Yes.
not just
Yeah.
coming at you. It's coming
Yeah.
at you and away from you and in all directions at once. And so I think it's interesting that you have this creature that actually exists in another dimension, or at least, we suspect that there's something otherworldly about this thing.
Uh-huh.
And the sound even reflects, it's not just like a lion who's roaring at you. It's
Right.
like, where's the sound coming from?
Yeah. That's a good point. I think to the thousands of people that are already watching this who don't know what a Leslie cabinet is, we should probably clarify. So if you
Yeah.
think of like a gospel choir and there's a someone playing an organ. A lot of organs are made by the company Hammond. The most popular still today is called the B3. And the sound itself is attached to a speaker system called a Leslie cabinet. And it typically has a couple different speakers inside, two or three. And the organist can control how fast those speakers spin, and it makes the sound like a vibrato, and then you can hear it slowing down, and the organist actually controls that the whole time they're playing, the speed of the vibrato, if you will, of the organ. And that's what that sound of the creature in the top of that elevator reminded me of, because it just sounded like it was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm hooked right
Yeah.
after as soon as you see that, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
something.
Or imagine a child screaming at the top of their lungs, but spinning in 360 degrees. The sound is traveling away from you and towards you in this
Yeah.
kind of repetition.
Yeah.
Yeah. The chittering, as you will, as the subtitles call it.
Uh-huh.
It's more than just like, no animal that we know in this earth makes a sound that that feels like it's coming from different directions all at once.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely
we get
bizarre.
that scene one. I mean, we
That's
get
just,
that
yeah,
right away,
first
and it
minute,
pulls you
2 minute.
it just pulls you right in to like
And then we
your
cut
heart's
to
racing.
a
You experience
yeah.
the urgency.
Then we cut to an all-American scene, some boys in a basement playing a board game.
Yep.
I never
Yep.
played the dungeon game, did you?
No, I didn't, and I didn't really even know much about Dungeons and Dragons until this show.
Me either.
I kind of started to look into like what it is. I didn't even have friends that played it. I mean, it wasn't a
Me
part of
either.
my existence.
Maybe it predates us just a little bit, because here it is. The show's in
Yeah,
1983. I'm born in
these kids are
81.
already not 10 years old, probably
Yeah, so
11
maybe
years old.
I do think the game came out in the mid 70s. So that would kind of make sense
Yeah.
that maybe the
Well, and
game had its popularity before us.
I know friends today that play it. In fact, I was just at a football game last week with somebody I know, and her husband wasn't there, and I said, where's, and she said, oh, he's at home getting ready for our D&D game tonight. Like he was
Really?
running it. And so he spent all Saturday setting it up because he was running the game. He was kind of
Wow.
the, whatever they call it, the headmaster of the ceremony.
Uh-huh.
So he was setting up the board and all the pieces, and everybody was coming over later to play it. Like it's still massively popular. And in fact, it's probably ebbed and flowed just like anything else. But, you know, it didn't take me any education as a viewer to get into this scene of them in the basement playing the game. It didn't matter that I hadn't played it. I
Nope.
was immediately in a place where I was like, I know these kids. I relate to a basement,
Yeah.
kids being kids playing games, using their
And it
imaginations. I mean,
and
you can
it's
tell Dustin is so torn
stressed.
about this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah, everybody. And
visually,
Will being faced with the decision of what to do, to cast protection or to throw the fireball.
yeah,
I wasn't watching it going, I'm
what's
lost. I
going
have no
on?
idea what's
Oh,
going on.
same.
I
Yep,
because I never played it, but it didn't matter.
yep, I agree.
It was
It's
it
funny
was
that
so
the scene
relatable.
is cut short by something somewhat relatable, a mom yelling and saying, you have to stop. You have school tomorrow." And then in a
Yeah.
strange way, she gets upset that her kids have been playing, or her kid and friends have been playing for 10 hours. Like, can you
Surprised.
imagine this day and age, like kids not using their phones and just like playing a game for 10 hours? Like, that'd be every parent's
Yeah.
dream this day and age.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, as a parent of myself, well, if my kid has been in one place for 10 straight hours, my immediate assumption would be,
They're not
what
doing well.
what have I left them to do? Because it's not going to be good. But
Yeah.
what a different time. Did you just
Yeah.
leave 4 11-year-olds or 10-year-olds in a basement for 10 hours and not even realize it had been 10 hours
Yep.
and feel perfectly, perfectly okay with that?
Right. So the
But
game kind of
I did
fizzles.
notice,
Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, well, I did notice how relatable the boys were and how relatable Will was in that
Mhm.
moment. You feel sympathy for him.
Yeah.
Be, he looks like maybe the smallest one of them. Maybe he's the youngest one of them.
Yep.
That bowl cut was not doing him any favors. So it just you you felt sympathy for him in that moment. And
Yeah.
what a juxtaposition that was between the scene that we just saw in the lab. Like these are different worlds altogether, that we have this urgent scene in the lab and then immediately this totally relatable scene in the basement.
Yeah. It kind of the scene kind of fizzles out because mom says they've got to go. Uh Dustin, being the flirty guy that he is, he takes the one slice of pizza upstairs, and that's where we quickly meet Nancy Byers, who's on the phone, some
Yeah,
serious conversation,
right.
and she just politely slams the door in Dustin's face. And then I
Yeah.
think
I
we
love
cut
Dustin's
to
little smile when he thinks that Nancy's coming to the door to get his
oh
pizza.
yeah,
His
yeah,
little his toothless grin
toothless
of
grin,
like,
yeah,
oh, it worked, And you didn't feel like he was trying to get away with anything. You just felt like
yeah,
he's just he knows a cute girl when he sees one, and he's just trying
mm-hmm,
to be
mm-hmm.
nice, because he offers the piece to everybody else first.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
and
offered it.
again, just another relatable scene is something that you don't have to cross a bridge to understand.
Yeah,
Younger brother's friend, that the kind of cute high school girl,
yep.
slammed the door in his face,
And then we cut
and
to
then he
outside, and the
says
boys
something's
are
wrong with
saying
your sister.
goodbye. Outside,
Yeah, he
yep,
says something's wrong with your sister,
yep. And some
and he
strange.
wasn't his immediate thought wasn't like, oh, I'm an idiot. It was like,
Oh yeah,
it's her.
it's her. Because they called back and said she used to be really cool. Remember when she played like an elf? Like, so it sounds like a couple years ago, Nancy would have been playing
Oh
the game with
yeah,
them as like a character or something. But now she's too old,
yeah,
too
but
cool
now
for that.
she's too cool for school. Yeah,
Yeah. And the boys start to bike their separate ways, and the house lights kind of flicker, kind of like a power
yeah,
surge. You don't think anything of it.
yeah.
It's just Mike surely
And
didn't. Just
in that same conversation, we see Will approach Mike to let him know
oh yeah,
that the dice that he rolled was a 7. It wasn't the 13 that he needed, or 14, whatever it was that he needed.
yeah,
So instead of keeping that to himself and thinking, this
He
might
could
have
have lied.
consequences. Yeah,
Yeah.
this could have consequences for me in the next game that we play
Yeah.
because it got cut short. Maybe they were going to pick it up where it left off the next time. But he
Yeah.
had the integrity and the honesty and the sensitivity to tell Mike, I didn't roll the number I needed. I made the wrong decision. The Demogorgon got me.
Yeah. And I don't know the rules well enough to know if like maybe the other two players get to keep playing with Mike as the leader. I don't know, but what you're saying is exactly right.
Yeah,
Like
and who knows
he
what would
ended
have
it.
happened,
Hmm.
what would have happened
Yeah.
in the game if the Demogorgon got him. Would he have died? Would that have been the end of his character, or would the Demogorgon have taken him to a different dimension? Like I don't know the Demogorgon well enough to know, is it just a devouring creature that just ends you, or does it?
Yeah,
So
that's
I think
true.
in a way you could, if you were thinking of it in these interpretive terms, you could think actually the roll of the dice being a seven somehow sets up in the real world what's actually going to happen. So we don't
Yeah.
have to wonder what would happen in the game because it ended up
Oh
happening in real life.
gosh. That's
But yeah, so the
interesting.
lights flicker at the house. The lights flicker at the house. They kind of notice it, but nobody says anything or really, it doesn't become a part of anything.
No, no one
And
mentions it.
then they just race each other to Dustin's house, where
Hmm.
I assume Will would then split off to his more remote house.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah, it because Dustin said, I'll race if you let's race, and if you beat me to my house, I'll give you whatever comic book you want." Like he said that to Will for some reason, um, which that I think that comes back into play later, the comic book. But yeah,
Yeah.
so Will smokes him, takes off, and he just goes, he's all by himself in a matter of moments.
Yeah. Dustin gives up. He just stops biking because he knows Will. Maybe Will
Yeah.
has a better bike or something. I don't know. But
That's
that's a
true.
very important scene that we know Will is on his own. He beat Dustin. The Mike is obviously already at his house. Lucas went another way to his
Yeah.
house,
He cut off
and so
first.
now
Yeah.
Will's all by himself.
All by
Yeah, and then
himself.
we see the light flicker and then turn
Uh-huh.
off.
His
Right?
light turns off on his bike, and
Yep.
by the time he turns
And
it
then
back on and looks up, there's something
he
in the road.
sees
Uh-huh.
the silhouette,
Ooh.
which we don't know. We don't know what that is.
But
But
what's
it was such an interesting choice by the storytellers to reveal so quickly
a
what,
monster?
at least a glimpse of
Uh-huh.
what it is, so that the
Do you
audience can see immediately.
do you remember your first impression of what it looked like, and why did you know it was a monster? Like, do you remember its characteristics? Only one thing
No, I
stands
don't
out to
remember.
me.
No, I don't remember thinking. I don't remember thinking it was a monster.
Uh,
I think, again, this is not a genre of entertainment I typically would watch. And so
Same.
you
Yep.
and I watched it together on our first watch, and
Uh-huh.
it was surprising to, I think, both of us that we got into it because it's just not something that we normally would
Right.
watch. And so I didn't
No.
have a context for, oh, I've watched hundreds of these kinds of shows. I kind of know, no, it might as well have been, it could have been anything. I mean, the fact that this lab was the opening scene, and then we see the silhouette. I had no context for what it was. It wasn't until, you know, other later episodes that it was finally starting to take better shape in my mind, even. Obviously, the
So,
only image I had was the Demogorgon like character that they were playing with, which
yeah.
it didn't look like.
No. To me, the one thing that stood out was its arms, or whatever arms things it has, were unusually long. Like it looked like a tall
Yeah,
creature, but it also looked like it had pretty elongated
yeah,
arms. That's what stood out to me, like,
yeah,
oh boy. So,
yeah.
and
But
then
I think it was so cool to see it so quickly
yeah.
because then we knew this isn't perception. It's not some sort of, now we don't have to wonder about so many different things that they just answer this question right away of like, yes, there really is something out there, and I'm going to kind of show it to you right away. And then I think after he sees the Demogorgon, his light turns back on, or maybe the light turns back on, then he sees it,
Right.
and he's
Yep.
shaken and crashes his bike.
Crashes his bike. And then I think I'm looking at my notes to see if it yeah, the crashes
He
his
makes it
bike.
home, right?
He does make it home. Yep. So he leaves his bike, and then that's when he runs home. And runs
Because
in
he's obviously not
screaming.
going to keep going forward. He's not going
Right.
to keep riding his bike forward down the road,
So he must know those
because
woods
that's
well
probably
enough to know a shortcut.
that's probably the way to his house, but he can't ride the bike through the woods because of the roots and trees and stuff. So that's why he
And
leaves it, runs home, gets home, and then he's screaming for,
runs in yelling for his mom or his brother, which neither.
right, right, which we find out later why they're not there, but he's home by himself.
And then when he realizes no one's home, he looks out the front window to see if it's following him. And sure enough, lightning flashes, and
It
we get
is.
a second,
Yeah.
very quick glimpse of whatever this creature or
Yeah.
being is.
Yeah. He
And then
picks
do you
up the
remember what he
phone.
does? Oh, yes. Yep. Yep. Picks up the phone, and it's just not working. It's like not a normal dial
That
tone. It's not, something's wrong.
that phone, man. That phone in the
Yeah.
Byers house. It becomes such a central piece. This is the first time we see it where it's like the phone's not going to do what he needs it to do, which is probably call his mom or his brother. And so he
Yeah.
takes matters into his own hands in a way and kind of runs
He
out the back.
keeps running. I think probably the thing that clicks in his mind, because it's the first thing he does, is, oh, there's a gun in the shed. So he runs
Yep,
into
I
the
got a
shed
22 rifle.
and he starts loading the clip, which to me, that was
Yep.
weird. Not that I grew up with a bunch of loaded guns in the house, but it was unfortunate that he had to spend time loading it. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
ready to protect
Yeah.
him.
Well, even just the
So
fact that they kept it in the shed probably indicates it might not have even been, it might have been something they used for just fun target practice. It
that's
was
true.
clearly not. I mean, at least to me, it wasn't ready to go for a home defense situation. It was just
That's
he
true.
knew it was there. And so
Yeah,
he's just empties this cardboard box of 22 shells and just starts loading.
the fact that it wasn't in the house, loaded, hidden, or ready to go. It was just probably a fun gun. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. And then something similar to the opening scene happens to Will.
Yep. It's above him, or it's not kind of come in the front door.
Nope. It's already there.
And
And
the
the
light
light,
flashes, or the light gets brighter.
and then it goes back to being normal light. And then roll opening credits.
It's gone.
Oh
It's
yeah, they're
gone. I
both
remember
gone.
when you and I were watching it. When you and I were watching it that for that first time, where we just looked at each other, we were like, "What time is it? Like, how many episodes are streaming already?" It
Yeah,
came out,
yeah,
I think,
yeah.
in July. This was probably October, November when we started watching it. So
Right.
we were like, "Oh, this is going to be a late night."
Yeah, binge worthy after only the first 5 or 10 minutes. Just immediately, you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm going to have more questions than answers tonight."
Well,
Yeah.
and the opening theme song, I mean, they nailed it. It was,
Hmm.
I mean, as musicians, you and I can both relate to like being hooked by just a really great epic theme song.
Yeah.
And it was
It.
nostalgic, it was eerie, it
Yep.
was, we had probably your sound bar was on and we were hearing the
Yep.
bass loud and clear. And
It matched like the tone of the letters, of the redness of the Stranger Things font coming and going. It just was
yep,
like it was a perfect first 10
yeah.
minutes.
So we
Yeah.
and so that at that point, then the audience is hooked. Now we've gotten a 360-degree view of what's possible. We've
Yeah.
seen the lab, we've seen these relatable boys in this normal suburban home. We've seen a kind of a tense moment between a milk toast husband and his wife. We've
Uh-huh.
seen boys riding bikes in the dark. We've seen the tension between the older siblings. So like, and then we've seen this monster silhouette, and then now we don't. We know that the episode is called "The Vanishing of Will Byers,"
Yeah.
and now we wonder, was this the vanishing of Will Byers? We didn't see anything happen. We just had this close up of this light bulb and then the shot of an empty
Maybe a
shed. And it's
sound,
like
some chittering, and then
we
roll
don't we
credits.
don't know what's going to happen, but we're hooked now. We just now we're in for
That's
the ride.
true.
Like the seatbelt is latched, it's all clear, and we're off for the ride.
Yeah, the very next scene could have been Will turning around and coming like viciously face to face with this thing. But
Yeah,
instead, the next scene is this guy asleep on the couch in his jeans, and the TV's on, and the news lady is saying something about power outages and
yeah.
surges and
Power
stuff. So
outages.
it's like,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's
yeah.
like, okay.
Circling all the way back to the U.S. Department of Energy kind of theme. We've seen the lights flashing. Every so far, the theming has been electricity driven, and so this
Oh
news
yeah.
article or this news story about a power outages is just more
Uh,
just continuing that on.
yep. And
And then
so
we meet another super relatable character in David Hopper, just like the other,
yeah,
just like the kids are relatable now, so they're kind of pulling us back to the 80s. You know, the millennial audience are pulling us back to the 80s and the nostalgia we know there. And then
yep.
now they're appealing to our adulthood of, we all know what it's like to wake up
A
to
little
go to work. You
hungover.
don't really want to. You might be hungover. You're taking your pills with a beer. You're too tall for your shower.
You're
You don't
you're
want to go to work.
smoking while putting on your deodorant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not going to be
yeah.
an
And
easy
he,
morning.
you can tell he just slicks back his hair because he's given up on what his hair looks like.
Uh-huh.
And
And
so
then
again, there's not a bridge too far we have to cross to know who David Hopper is.
from him it cuts, we stop him pretty much right after he drinks a pill with his beer, and then we cut to Joyce and Jonathan in their home for the first time. So,
Jonathan and Joyce for the first time at the Byers house.
and Joyce is immediately frantic. Where are my keys? Where are my keys? Like she
Yeah.
first scene is her character the whole at
Yep.
least the whole
Yeah.
first whole episode.
Jonathan's calming her down, and
Mm-hmm.
we don't. They don't know what we know, or at least what we think we know,
Right.
until they realize that Will's not up yet.
Because she's about to walk out the door and she's like, "Where's Will?" And Jonathan's like,
Yeah.
I haven't woke him up yet. I'm sure he's in there." And
Yeah.
mom, Spidey senses, is like,
Yeah.
"You sure?" So she goes to
Well,
wake him up, and he's not there.
well, and then we learned something really important about them at the same time that we learned that Jonathan doesn't know if Will came home last night or not because he was picking up extra work while
That's
Joyce
right.
was also working an extra late shift. And so we see the financial situation and the
Money's
socioeconomic
tight.
divide maybe between them and the Will and
Yep.
the Mike and the Lucases of the world. And so we already know that Will's sensitive, he has honesty, he has integrity. And
Yeah.
so we feel for him, and now we also feel for the this two trying to earn extra money, and that's
Right.
when we realize she
And
goes in to wake Will up.
yeah, and that was a known problem of needing money because she says to him, "You know, you can't take extra shifts when I'm working." So it
Yeah,
obviously has come up before that Jonathan is trying to find extra work to help the family, but it can't be when Joyce is at work because has to be home when someone has to be home when Will gets home.
yeah, and it's the second family unit we've seen now. We saw
Mm-hmm.
Mike's family, and then now we've seen Joyce. So now we have a single mother living in a totally different part of town than Mike. So we have this divide. But the big the big elephant in the room is that Will is not there.
And then I think that's when his mom calls the Byers house and say, "Hey, did Will stay at your
Um,
house last night?" And she goes, "No." And then she just goes, "Oh, I think he probably left early for school." And in some ways,
she
she
doesn't want to
probably,
admit.
no, she
Yeah,
probably wants to believe that, like, oh, he just hopped on his bike because his bike's not there, hopped on his bike and went early for school. And that actually transitioned to the
yeah. I got
next
the
scene.
impression actually that Joyce was. I got the impression that Joyce was lying. That she actually does feel like something's really wrong, but just doesn't want
Uh,
to. She wants to maintain some sort of dignity as a mother. That she's like, I'm going to pass this off like, oh, I'm sure he just left early for school. When inside, she's really feeling like, I better
that's
get
true.
down to the police station right away because something's not right.
She
And so
doesn't
she's
want to
trying to hold
cause,
on to some.
yeah,
She doesn't want to. Yeah, she's already a single mother who's probably working way more than she needs to. People might know that she's in this situation being a single mom. So she's
yeah.
just going to play it off like, oh, there's no problem here, when really she's panicked because I think you can correct me if I'm wrong. We go back to Hopper going to the police station when
Uh,
she
from
says that
there, not
Jace
quite.
is in your office. Okay.
From there, it cuts to the front of the school where the three boys are together on their bikes, and one of them says, "That's weird. I don't see him." And they
Right.
obviously had that conversation because I think it was Mike that goes, "Oh, his mom's probably right. He's probably in class. He's probably in class already." And that's when those kids, older kids, walk up to bully them and call them freaks. Freak
Oh
show.
yeah, that's when we learned about Dustin's uh
Display something
condition.
dysplasia. Yeah. Now it's
Yeah.
strange. There are a lot of parallels, and it's probably why I really we're zooming out a second. It's probably why I really like the shows. There are a lot of parallels, comparisons to the Goonies. We've got
Yeah.
kids on bikes. We've got a monster, which turned out to not really be a monster in the Goonies. And then you've got this kid who's being bullied and told to do something with his body that other people think is funny
Yeah.
or gross. Like you got the whatever Chuck Truffle Shuffle or whatever he did in the Goonies.
Yep.
And then you've got
Yep.
poor Dustin who's doing something weird with his body to freak other people out. Like,
They're definitely making a one-to-one
yeah, which is not a bad
comparison
thing.
there. Again, they're appealing to the millennial audience who grew up with that movie.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, we want you, we're calling upon all of the feelings that you had about that. We want you to translate that. We want you to
Yep.
transport that to this show as well. But we're gonna
Yep.
we're gonna take you somewhere else, but we want you to feel the same
Yes.
sense
Still
that you
setting
did
the
then.
scene, and yep, absolutely true.
Yeah.
And following that,
It's like it's in the same key. Like this is in the key of
yeah,
early 80s children
yeah, where
suburban.
everything will resolve, with some magic and it'll be done in an hour and a half. No. Uh, from there we cut to
Exactly.
Nancy walking into school, and I noted that I don't remember the song, but it was actually happy music playing. Like the tone changed when she walked in because then she starts talking to her friend Barb about this boy, and Nancy's trying to play it down, but it's still a happy, flirty scene. Just as soon as the music starts, when she walks in, it's just a tone change, and
Yep.
she's playing it off this boy. But
Again,
then when
it's relatable.
Mhm. when she opens her locker, it's a weird note. Do you remember what it said? The note she finds in her
Meet me in the
locker.
bathroom. Is it?
It's meet me in the bathroom.
Well, and it's so funny. It's so funny of all the relatable things in this show.
Yeah,
I've always wondered why that worked. This it's not like a
yeah.
one room schoolhouse where there's only one
No,
person allowed in the bathroom. It's like it's a public bathroom. It's a small
no.
school, but like
Yeah,
there's still probably room for 10 people in a bathroom,
yeah.
and that's his choice.
That's what I that okay, so maybe that's why it actually works because we soon find out that we find out his name's Steve Harrington. We find out that he has no social awareness of getting like the possibility of getting caught. Like he almost invites someone to walk in on
Yes.
into the girl's bathroom when he's
Yeah,
making
yeah,
out
yeah.
with her. He almost wants to get caught. That or he's
Yeah.
just so reckless that when he's focused
I
on
think that
making out
he's
with
so
someone,
confident in his
he doesn't see
ability to
anything.
get out of it that he feels like
Yeah,
he could talk his way out of anything. He's the guy to be driving 90 miles an hour down the road because he could talk his way out of a ticket.
yeah.
And so in that regard, he's totally unaware because he knows that nothing's really gonna bother or affect him. He's the classic high school invincible.
Yep. And she tries to play off his invitation to hang out that night. She's like, I got to study. And he's like, I'll help you study. And so she finally caves and goes,
Right.
well, meet me at the corner of such and such at certain time. So it's implied that they're going to see each other somehow later that
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, we get the second scene of Nancy now where she's more in her own element.
Right.
And you get the impression that she probably is actually innocent and probably a goody goody,
Yeah, a
for
good
real,
student probably.
but
Yeah.
is being led down a path that she probably wouldn't. I mean, Barb even like the fact that Barb even is her best friend
Yeah.
indicates of like who Nancy probably really is. Barb's
Right.
not really a fan of this new Nancy,
No.
and Steve Harrington is immediately a contrast to both of them. And so
It,
we get this thing that well, Nancy's kind of being led out of her natural habitat for
yeah.
Steve.
And at that
She's not one
age,
of the cool kids.
that's what I was going to say. At that age, especially, in the 80s, there weren't that many factions of kids in a school in the 80s. The cool kids, maybe the
Right.
jocks, maybe the nerds. I don't feel like it was until the 90s that
Right.
there became more and more factions of who you could identify with in school.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
80s, it was just like, I don't know, it just felt a little more, you're either one of four
Yep.
character types, but
And it
Steve
was clear
and
that Nancy was
Nancy are different.
bridging.
Uh-huh.
She was going from one sect to another,
Because
and
in
Steve
one,
was yeah.
I think it's in this episode where Barb's like, or maybe it is the second episode, which we haven't watched yet in review. Just kidding. Maybe it is the second episode where Barb's like, if you're going to be one of the cool kids, you got to bring me along with you. Like Barb says something like that, acknowledging that like Nancy's about to like change social castes, and it
Yep.
feels like you know what I mean. Like Barb's aware that
And that
something could happen.
Nancy doesn't seem to really think of it that way. She's not
No,
trying to ascend to she's not trying to
nope,
position and jockey herself above other people. She's like, "Oh, you guys are all just making this a really big deal. I'm still me. I'm kind
yep,
of outside of the caste system. I can just do what I want. Steve isn't really who you think he is." And so part of that is even really relatable because I feel like I was more that way in high school. I never wanted to be labeled as anything. I kind of was friendly with everybody. And so the fact that she's totally unaware or denies that there's any sense of that going on, Barb
right,
sees it, and we also trust that Barb is seeing it right, but we
right,
also believe that Nancy's being perfectly genuine in saying, "I don't, I don't think there's anything to see here,"
yeah.
which comes back up, comes back up later.
Yep. From there, we cut to the police station. Chief walks in, and one of
Okay,
his officers tells him, "You look like hell, Chief." And then he finds out that gnomes are being stolen, and Chief's like, "I'll get right on that." And then the secretary's
right.
like, and a little more important than that, Joyce Byers can't find her son. And Hopper plays it off
He's equally
immediately.
unbothered by that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think it's really great that they did that. They made his reaction to the gnomes being stolen, which is probably something that happens all the time, that just gives a bored old lady something to call the police office about,
uh-huh.
and that there's a missing child. His reaction is the exact same. That
Yep.
like, oh yeah,
And he interrupts the secretary by saying mornings are for coffee and contemplation.
coffee and contemplation.
He's just walking away from the secretary, and he doesn't even hear her say she's in your office, like Joyce,
Yeah,
the lady with
yeah,
the missing
yeah.
kid. And so he walks
He's
in,
so unbothered.
and he has to sober up right away and get to work because like, oh,
Yep.
the problem is sitting at my desk. So
Yeah. Yeah. And he's not startled
nope.
immediately like, oh, now there's this really big problem. He's still thinking in terms of this is Hawkins. Nothing bad happens. Doesn't he say something like, the worst thing to happen here, and then he says something totally innocuous.
Yeah, I think he did. I didn't write it down if he did, but yeah, he also writes it off by saying 99 times out of 100 the kid's with a family member. So call your ex-husband. He's
Yeah.
probably with his dad, and you just didn't know it.
Yep. Well, he says something that's really important that calls back to something we talked about earlier. He says he's probably playing hooky, as if to
Oh
say,
yes,
kids. Kids are
kids.
just gonna sometimes skip school. They're gonna lie to their parents and they're gonna skip school. You know how
Yeah,
kids are. And Joyce is aware enough about who Will is, and we believe her because now we've already seen this side of Will to
yeah,
say, no, we believe Joyce when she says that he wouldn't do that.
because
Because we're
he's
like,
not like
he's already
most.
told the truth when he doesn't have to. He's
Yeah.
already fallen on the sword at a D&D game that means nothing to anybody.
Right.
So when she says no, he wouldn't skip school, we believe her, which just continues to reinforce that like what we saw is really what's happening. We're not
Yep.
somehow being led astray.
Right.
Like the writers could have done that. They could have set it up to where we are just as clueless about what's going on as the characters in the show, or they could have set it up like a foreshadowing and then pulled us back. There's so many different ways they could have told the story where we're kind of the all-knowing ones, but they didn't. They put us right in the show to say we're going to experience this as if we're also a member of this town
Right.
and just kind of go along for the ride. And so when Joyce says, "Not my will," he wouldn't do that. And then to your point about the 99 times out of 100, she says, "Well, what about the one?"
Hmm.
And we immediately think, well, we obviously know that Will is the one
Uh-huh.
exception, and we really now we're pleading for Hopper to believe her.
Yes. Because Joyce is certain, and we kind of find this out later, but Joyce is certain that he doesn't want to run away to be with his dad. Like he's happy here in Hawkins with me and his friends. He doesn't
Right.
want to spend time necessarily with his estranged father. So, but
Yeah.
Joyce essentially has to light the fire under Hopper's butt to get him to do something for her, to go
Yeah.
to go look into this matter. From there, it escalates. Scene cuts to Dr. Brenner in a lab suiting up. Guys got guns, suits, tape,
Yep.
and they're heading towards an elevator.
So we're seeing now in that scene what we were not shown in that opening scene of like
Mm-hmm.
something else that's going on in the lab. Dr. Brenner we see for the first time,
Uh-huh.
hazmat suits, weapons, safety valves that are being installed. And so we're immediately
It,
jolted out of this comfortable world of familiarity, even if it's still, dysfunctional to some degree, to
yes.
a world that we don't have any context for. We have now we don't know what's going on. We
Yeah.
know what's going on in Hawkins, and we're hoping that Hopper gets it, and we trust Joyce and blah blah blah. Now we are
Completely out of our
intentionally left
yeah.
completely. Yep.
Yeah, in a very we are now on the other side of the fence of the place that no one ever gets to see because it's top secret. So what did you first notice when they popped off or came off the elevator?
The elevator. I didn't. I didn't know that I noticed it the first time because I
Oh,
wasn't
sure, sure,
trained to
sure, sure,
look for
sure.
it. But
Yeah,
on
that's
this last rewatch, I noticed immediately when they come off the elevator, it's snowing in the hallway,
there's a particulate
or
in the air.
there's particulate in the air. Yeah, and obviously we didn't know what that meant when we watched it the
No,
first time. It might not have even registered with us. But
probably didn't.
on the knowing what we know now, you know, through the rest of this season, we know uh, to look for that. And
The things that were
it's dark now. The
strange,
lights don't work.
the lights were
It's
flickering.
there's something whatever the lab was set up to do or be, it is not now.
Right.
The lights don't operate. They don't walk around in hazmat suits all the time. We're not led to believe this is a
No.
kind of a DEF CON situation that they're
It,
they're enacting a protocol for emergency situation.
in
Something
our
has gone
first
terribly wrong.
in our first visual confirmation of that is this what I wrote down as a black mucousy fleshy thing growing on the wall. Very moist looking
Yeah,
mucousy flesh.
yeah, yeah. It's putting this discomfort in our psyche again of like this isn't supposed to be here and it's not.
Uh-huh.
Something's not right.
I mean if
And
they
we
just
we
had
sense that they think that too.
yeah, if it's just a black mold problem, I mean squirt it with some bleach and it'll go away. But this is a this is a very
Well, yeah,
growing
and the fact that we have this lab, it's growing. It looks um organic. It
yes.
looks like if it's not alive, it at least has some sort of organic nature to it,
Uh-huh.
which doesn't match up with the fact that this is a lab related to the U.S. Department of Energy.
Energy.
Energy would be sun, solar, nuclear, coal, like some sort of power generating or power transmitting or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But why is this seemingly organic living thing happening here? And then we're immediately kind of drawn to ask the question, what does this have to do with this silhouetted monster we saw?
So they round the corner and step into this room, and there before them is a wall of just the weirdest growing light, otherworldly, other dimensional, just I don't even know how to describe it now that I've seen it a million times. Just a wall of weird.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
words aren't coming
And
to describe how weird it is.
you can sense that they know that something's, at least if it has not gone wrong, it at least isn't what it's supposed to be.
Hmm.
They are acting in a very urgent way. And what do you have noted down there what they talk about or what they
So,
say?
yeah, they implied that the creature that they think killed their coworker in the lab came from the wall, either went in from
Right.
there or came out from there. And then what who we later learn is Dr. Brenner, someone asks, and the girl, and he says she can't have gone far.
Yep.
As they're looking at this wall that's growling and making noises and just a wet sounding wall that's alive, like an alive type of thing, the girl can't have gone far. And then that scene's over. We cut to some
Yep.
barefoot kid walking outside.
Yeah.
She's this kid, we don't know if it's a boy or girl, but we find out it's a bald kid right away. They see someone taking out some
Right.
trash. They sneak in the back of the restaurant. The owner's just talking to his regulars about sports. Then he walks in to his own kitchen and sees this little bald kid stealing fries and runs at her
Yeah.
and grabs her. He yells, "Come back here, boy! No one steals food from me." He says something about boy. He grabs the kid and looks at the kid and goes, "What the hell?" And I
Yeah.
think it's in that moment he
Yeah.
realizes, I don't think this is actually a boy.
Well, and she's wearing a hospital gown and her head is shaved, and it's
Uh
like
huh.
this he's immediately jolted by the
Uh huh.
difference between what he thought was happening and what he's actually seeing in front of him.
Yeah, a bald,
And again,
probably
this is
girl
Hawkins,
wearing a
Indiana.
gown
Like
never
this
happens.
is everything so far in Hawkins is super normal and
Uh huh.
relatable and believable, and we're being thrown into the situation with the town citizens of like everything that's happening now we don't have a context for.
Yeah.
We don't have a context for the lab or for this mucusy stuff on the wall or for this creature. And now we don't have a context for this girl who we think is the girl that Dr. Brenner was talking about.
Uh huh.
Or at least we assume that. And she's wearing a hospital gown with a shaved head and she's running and she looks very scared and
Mm-hmm.
certainly doesn't look like she's trying to get away with stealing food. She looks like she's desperate.
Just hungry.
And we believe that Benny in that moment isn't a bad guy.
Nope.
And then we learn very quickly that he's, immediately takes kind of whatever care of her he can.
Yep. As soon as he realizes it's not a boy and he says, "What the hell?" it immediately cuts back to the high school. Um, the teacher is desperately trying to talk to the classroom because the bell is rung and explain everything. Kids are just not interested. They're walking out, walking out, walking out. And here's our three little nerdy kids waiting after to talk
Yeah.
to the teacher. Did it arrive? And he's like,
Yep.
"I'm sorry, it did." So he leads them into the AV room where they have a brand new ham radio and they're so excited because it can talk not only to the next state over, it can talk not only California, it can talk around the world. And the kids are like, "Whoa, this thing can talk around the world."
Yeah,
But
they try
before
out
they
their
can
Australian accents.
yeah, before they can play with it very long, the principal walks in with Sheriff Hopper and says, "We need to talk to these three kids." And then it immediately
Yeah.
cuts to the principal's office where they talk about, well, obviously the conversation's underway by the time it cuts to the principal's office because they're trying to explain what Merck would is to Hopper. Do you remember what Mirkwood is?
It's so relatable. It's a location from Lord of the
Uh huh.
Rings,
Uh huh.
which is about the
No, The
extent
Hobbit.
of my fantasy knowledge. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're so concerned about that they get that detail right, and
Uh huh.
Hopper is immediately over it. I mean, he's over it before he even sits down with them.
Right. It's a real road they're trying to describe, but they've given the road this Lord of the Rings type nickname, trying to tell
Yeah,
Hopper where where Will goes every time they say goodbye to him. Like, how does Will get home? And they're saying, oh,
yeah.
he goes down Mirkwood. And he's Hopper's like, what's Mirkwood? Essentially. So, um,
And I think it's interesting too that they don't say, it's that road that goes by the lab. Like that's not
nope,
a landmark for them.
nope, that's true. That'll be interesting to see when the kids first what episode it takes for the kids to talk about that lab. I don't remember, but that'll be interesting to see when they start when everyone's
Yeah,
eyebrows are raised about this secretive lab. So Hopper gets a little bit of information out of them, but not very much. And he says, "Do I make myself clear? Like, no, you are not to go looking for your friends. Your friend will. You go home after
right.
school." After that, it cuts to Joyce in the woods at Castle Byers, and she hears a voice come out from this, castle in the woods saying password. And we
Or
know Will's
yeah,
in there. And then we quickly learn this is just a flashback. So Will
yeah,
has this castle that it, it's more of a fort. It doesn't look like it's just a fort or a castle in the woods that obviously is just, part of
yeah.
his
It's a castle to a 10-year-old or an 11-year-old boy. Like I mean,
somewhere
that took a lot of work for him to build that.
somewhere he goes to get away or play pretend or whatever he does out there. But we have a sense that it's a flashback because it doesn't take but for a minute for it to flash to the present where a frantic
Right.
Joyce and Jonathan are just screaming for Will and they look into there and he's not in there. Like we're back in the
Yeah.
present. He's
We have
not
another
there.
one of those really relatable moments with Joyce where in the flashback, she plays along with his game. She tries to
Mm,
remember the right password and she fakes being a witch.
yep.
And we get that again, that relatable kind of emotional connection. We
Yeah.
don't actually believe Joyce is crazy. We think she's actually a
Mm-mm.
really good mom. We believe that Will
Well,
is sensitive. And so we see this little glimpse into their relationship, which we don't get to see before he disappears,
uh-huh.
that she's in his world and he's happy that
She's
she's there.
trying.
Different than
She,
Mike and his parents, who don't seem to care at all about what he's doing in the basement.
yeah.
But
She's
Joyce is actually kind of entering into Will's world.
she's so involved in his world that she bought them tickets to go see Poltergeist, which
Yes.
it's like a cool mom move. Like, if
Yeah.
if your mom would have done that in the 80s, she's either trying too hard or she's just cool that take your kid to see a
Yeah.
scary movie like that. So
And it's important that we believe that Jonathan and Will being with their mom, we don't know the ex-husband at all. We don't see him in this episode, but we believe that they have a great relationship with their mom. Jonathan's caring for her. Will and her
yep,
have this kind of playful relationship.
yep. From there we cut back to the restaurant and this kid is just inhaling food, not saying anything. The owner, Benny, is sitting across the table and just assumes the kid's a runaway and starts asking things like, did they hurt you? And then he just tries to get her to say words like, okay, here's my name. What's your name? Then he sees the tattoo on her arm that says 011. Uh, and he says, what does he say? Nice to meet you. Is your name 11? And she goes, no. And then he's like, oh, she actually can speak. So
Yeah.
then he cuts to there. He lets her keep eating because she finally says something to him. And then we see him on the phone calling. I think we see the clip of the newspaper or
He's
the
circled.
phone book, calls Child Protective Services, says she's scared to death. I think she's been abused or kidnapped. While he's on the phone calling Child Protective Services to come pick up this kid, 11 does something amazing while
Yep.
sitting there eating.
She's
Do you
eating
remember what that
food.
was?
She's eating food.
Uh-huh.
And instead of looking scared and lost and confused, for the first time, she looks confident
Uh-huh.
and annoyed when she's looking at the fan across the room that's all metal and squeaking and making a
Yep.
very repetitive noise that she doesn't care for, and
Uh-huh.
looks at it. We don't see her and the fan at the same time, but the fan stops in its tracks,
Uh-huh.
and cuts back to her. She looks very satisfied and very comfortable and confident, and just goes right back to eating her fries. And that's when
Yes.
I think everybody goes, "Oh no,
Oh no.
this is a different category. This is a different category
This
of
is not a
person."
normal kid. Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
We're all of a
yeah,
sudden we're like, oh, she's got some supernatural
yeah.
skills. So
Yeah, and the mystery about the lab just deepens because we don't know that she's associated with the lab other than Brenner saying and the girl. So there's that loose connection there, but we're just like,
okay,
oh man.
something.
We
Let's
believe that Benny's questions not being answered straightforwardly are legitimate. That like maybe she's a different category of person.
yeah. From there, there's a couple quick cuts, couple scenes happen in quick succession. Cop cars going down a dirt road. They're yelling Will's name. Hopper takes another pill. Then they spot his bike. Then it cuts back to the lab, and we see what we think are people eavesdropping on phone calls. Then it cuts
Yeah.
to Joyce calling her ex husband, trying to get a hold of him. She can't because the girlfriend answers. It's implied that the eavesdroppers are listening to Joyce's calls. So
Yes.
that's implied right there.
Yeah.
Then after that phone call, I think Joyce hears someone come into her driveway, and it's Hopper, and he pulls the bike
Yeah.
out of his truck.
And this is the first time this section of scenes you just covered there is the first time we believe that Hopper in reality can actually be a great cop. So far, we've kind of been given the impression that he's not really into police work. He's kind of over it.
Yeah.
He's cynical. He's disinterested in all that stuff that was happening at the station. But
Uh
then
huh.
something flipped in his mind to where now we believe, because he said something about the bike. One of his
Yes.
idiot coworkers is like, "Well, what if he just walked home?" And Hopper's like, "No, a bike like this is a Cadillac to these kids. He wouldn't have just left it." So we
Yeah.
get like, oh, he's insightful. He kind of actually knows what's going on here. So
Yeah.
when he starts to kind of actually go into investigation mode, we as an audience believe that he's capable.
Right.
He's actually a
Joyce.
real cop.
Joyce, the mom, asks a really upfront, difficult question right away and says, "Was there blood on the bike? As in, did he get hit by a car and like the car took him?" And Hopper plays that down. He's like, "No, no, no, there's no blood." But then Hopper just walks into her house and starts looking around for clues,
Yep.
and just, maybe it's the first thing he sees that's abnormal, but by the back door, there was a hole in the wall, which to
Yeah,
him,
like
he
a
knew
dent
that
in the
meant
wood paneling.
he knew that meant at some point that back door had been flung open and hit into the wall. And he questions her, like, "Has this always been here?" And she's like, "I've got two boys. I don't look around. I don't know
Yeah.
when what happens here." So he goes to the backyard and he hears the dog barking, and the dog's just barking at the shed, like just looking at the shed barking.
Right. And,
Opens
and
the shed.
again, Joyce is totally oblivious. She's like, "Oh, he probably just isn't, she just like rushes the dog back inside. That's not
Mm-hmm.
concerning to her,
Mm-mm.
even though she's the one with the missing kid, but Hopper notices it.
Yep. He opens the shed, the lights off, he turns the light on. He sees
Yep.
a box of gun shells. He sees that the gun is not on the rack. And for some reason, the light kicks off. So he finds a flashlight, turns the flashlight on, and I think that's the first time his actual spidey senses start tingling. Like
Yeah.
something happened right here, and I'm really close to the scene of the crime. Like
And he
something.
shines the flashlight down in a corner of the
Uh
shed,
huh.
which we
Uh
don't
huh.
see what he sees,
No.
but we see that he's honed in on this section of the shed.
And at the same time, we do hear a
And
little bit of
because of
supernatural
his
sounds.
investigative questions so far, sorry, go ahead.
well, when he shines down there, the creators of the show chose to put in a little bit of the supernatural sound. At least that's what I wrote down, that
Yeah.
he hears squelching.
We're led to believe that he is really close to discovering something there.
Uh-huh.
And we believe that he's not, we believe that he's being led there by his own investigative abilities
Yep.
because of what we've seen just over the last several minutes. And so then we start to wonder what he's going to find, but we trust that whatever is going to be found is going to come through Hopper.
But his search is interrupted. His two deputies
Yeah.
walk in and scare the
Yeah.
shit out of him, and he gets spooked.
His
and he's
reaction,
like,
his reaction to that is classic. I often rewind it to watch it again when he
yeah,
exclaims after they scare him, "Man alive, that's good."
yeah. Zooming out, it's like true acting. Like maybe as a director, they just left him in there for minutes to keep acting and acting,
Didn't
and maybe
tell.
they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're not going to tell you when these guys are going to walk in. Because it
Well,
is
I
a
think
really
what's also
believable
interesting about
reaction.
the writing of that scene too is that when they do scare him and come in, they have been calling his name for a long time, and they're
Oh
surprised
yeah.
that he's not answering. So we believe that he is A, that he's probably found something,
Uh-huh.
B, that he's either so enthralled by what he's found that he's just locked everything out, or that there actually is something supernatural happening and it's somehow hindered his ability to hear
Yeah,
them
that's a
calling
good
his
point.
name. Either one of those though indicates he's really close because he was not in the right, in the right world, so to speak,
Yeah.
while they were trying to get his.
So at that point, he becomes genuinely concerned. We know how concerned he is now because he says, "Call the secretary, Flo, I think is her name, and organize a search party." So
Yeah.
he's concerned, and it's time to start searching for this kid. Cut to uh, Mike back at family dinner. Um, he, Mike's so frustrated because he's just like, "Why are we having dinner as a family? We should be out there looking for Will." And he says a
Yeah.
cuss word, and the passive dad just goes, "Language." I love the passivity of the dad, which that comes back to haunt him. We know a couple seasons, but
Yeah.
uh, the little girl's reactions, the youngest kid, I I feel
Yeah.
like in some of these scenes they really do scare her with like the yelling or that whatever happens on the set. When they pan to her,
Yeah.
her reactions don't quite look like she's acting as a 2-year-old. Like she generally looks
Yeah.
upset
Yeah.
at what's going on.
Yeah.
Uh,
So relatable and believable. And then Nancy says a swear word, and the dad doesn't do anything other than just say language a bit louder.
yeah,
Like that's
and
his
then
foolproof strategy.
everyone one at a time they all just leave the dinner table because they're frustrated for all these different reasons. And the mom says, "Oh, that was some real good parenting," to the husband, and all his response was, "What'd I do? What'd I do?" Freaking love how he said that.
So
So just
believable. She also in that scene, he doesn't do whatever it is that she wants him to do.
no,
And she just goes,
step up.
she just looks at him like,
Yeah,
is that all you're gonna do?
yeah,
Yeah, that's a classic. And again, so relatable. Like Mike knows something about Nancy that she doesn't want them to know about Steve Harrington. And,
yeah,
you know, we we just deepen the relatability of all of these characters.
absolutely. Cut to, oh, here's an interesting scene. Next, it's a search party. The AV teacher walks. We found out his name is Scott Clark. He's Earth and biology teacher. He walks up to Hopper and just starts talking about Will and says he's a good student. Like he just kind of
Yeah.
wants to give Hopper a little bit of context to who this kid is, and the main thing he can tell him
Yeah.
is this kid's smart. Like this doesn't this isn't normal behavior for him. At least the teacher doesn't think
He's a
so.
good kid.
Then uh, he's he talks about how he was never into the sciences, but his daughter was always interested in stars and stuff. And the teacher's like, "Oh, maybe I'll have your daughter in class." And Hopper says, "Oh no, she lives with her mom," and that's the end of the two of them talking. But
Yeah,
then
she lives with
another
her mom in the city.
in the city, yep. And then another villager walks up to the teacher and says, "His daughter passed away a couple years ago," or something like that. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
immediately we find out that Hopper lied about one of the most tragic things that's ever happened. Well, assumably most tragic thing that's ever happened to him. He just lied about it for some reason.
yeah. You get the impression. I got the impression not that he was trying to hide something, more that he was still deeply affected by it and just doesn't want to get into it with a stranger. He's
Yeah,
somebody who's hard to get. He seems like he's probably somebody who's hard to get to know anyway. He's kind of
yeah,
gruff by brushing aside people at the station the first time we really see him. But
yeah,
then that's just further reinforced here that he could have said, "Oh, my daughter passed away. It's okay. She was really sick." Or he could have said something
yeah.
still just
Very
off the cuff.
easily.
But he
Yeah,
doesn't. He doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't want to get into it. And you get the sense that it's actually because it still is really bothering him.
yep, yep. Totally agree. From there, we cut back to Mike's house, and he's on the radio trying to talk to Lucas, and Mike. Well, I can't remember if it was Mike or Lucas, but they bring up a philosophical point about Will. They say, "Why didn't he cast protection?
He
He
could
could have
have.
played it safe, but he didn't. He put himself in danger to protect the party." So they're like, maybe what happened in the game is relating to him actually missing in real life. Like they start philosophizing, about their game and his
Yeah,
personality, and
yeah,
maybe it's what he's done in the game is actually something's going on in real life that ties to that. And then
yeah.
they
Well, I think
decide
they're
that,
drawing inspiration from that. His choice, in the game is an indicator of what they should do, which is
ah, yeah,
disobey their parents and go look for him.
and put themselves in danger to
Yeah.
protect one of their party members. So it's a great scene that happens next as Mike sneaks out on his bike, and what does he see? You remember?
Steve Harrington sneaking into Nancy's room. These parents don't know what is going on inside their own
Well,
house.
I love it. One kid is sneaking out while another kid is sneaking in.
And Steve just looks at Mike like, "Yeah, this is
This
what's
is
happening."
happening. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mike
So
just
funny.
rolls his eyes because Mike has way bigger fish to fry than
Yep.
whoever his sister is seeing at the time.
Uh, from there, we cut back to the restaurant. 11 is happily eating ice cream. The owner's being super nice. He even compliments her
Yeah.
smile, like, "Hey, there's a
She
smile."
gets a
So,
little
like,
smile on her face. Yeah.
the restaurant owner, Benny, uh, he's so kind immediately. He's just,
Yeah.
I don't know. Something about him immediately endeared me to him in the very first couple scenes of him.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is a good guy. Like, I'd
You're
go
rooting
eat at
for
his
him.
restaurant.
You're rooting for him
Yeah,
to crack the code. Like you think that if there's going to be anything that gets 11 talking, it's going to be him.
yeah,
And he's looked out for her by trying to call, child protection services,
uh
and
huh.
like he's got her best interest. He's complimenting her smile and giving her ice cream and all of that.
And
And then in this scene we hear
before he
the
can get more
knock
out
on
of
the door,
her, there's a knock on the door, and he thinks
which
it's just going to be a
he
customer.
assumes
Yep.
has to be a customer because it's not been enough time from his call for somebody from, assuming it's Indianapolis, it could potentially be Chicago. But I
Yeah.
looked up the county of where Hawkins is allegedly supposed to be.
Uh
Chicago
huh.
would be a way further distance, but Indianapolis, whatever the case is there in record time from where they're supposed to be coming from.
Because this lady greets him at the door and says who she's with, and he goes, "Oh, I didn't expect you guys to get here this quickly." And her
Yeah.
cover is, "Oh, at this time of night, traffic's not bad. That's why I got here so quickly." So he leads her into the
Mike's right. He
door.
apologizes to her for trying to turn her away.
Yeah, he apologized. That's a good point. Like he's just over top polite with this lady. And so he walks in to lead her to 11. She walks in behind him. And before he can finish his next sentence, she's got a gun with a silencer and shoots him in the back.
Yep.
11 sees this and is terrified. and she bolts towards the back door, but there's already two agents or whoever at the back door with guns drawn on her. Cuts
Yeah.
back out front to the other people filing in through the front door. I think maybe even Dr. Brenner. Yeah, I think Dr. Brenner.
Yep.
And then they start to run towards her in the back kitchen, and they see that the back door is open. She's gone, and the two agents are presumably dead.
Yeah. This scene is really important in the leverage that the leverage that it gives the show. There's two things we see here that are really, really important. One is we see an actual on-screen death for the first time in the show. We assume that there's been a death in the elevator with the lab guy. We don't really know that. We don't see that. They don't show us that. We still don't know what happened to Will. Did he die? We don't know. But now we do know beyond the shadow of a doubt that people are going to die, and that they're not shy to show us that death is on the table. The stakes have been set. And
that they're not willing
they're willing to kill good people. Benny's a good guy. And it's like good guys are going to die.
They're not willing to fabricate a lie for him to explain who this girl is and how she got out. Like they just want to cut his story off right here, not even give him a chance to be like, oh, that's how she got out, and let him live. Because he has seen this escaped girl, the risk of him saying anything about it is so great to these people that he's got to go.
Yep.
Like that's so
and then we
serious.
The stakes. Yeah, this show raises the stakes for the whole, or this scene raises the stakes for the whole show. The second thing we see in this scene is Eleven's ability now is not just the rotating fan. She can take care of herself in this situation. So again, the stakes are just raised. We have in one scene 3 confirmed fatalities.
Yep.
And we don't know where she is, and we don't know why Dr. Brenner is chasing her, and we don't know who the agents are, and there's so much again that we don't know. But it's the first time that the uncomfortable world of the lab with Brenner and these agents and 11 kind of meets real Hawkins.
Yeah. Real people died
in the diner.
Scene, not just from there, we cut to the 3 boys on the bikes, and they're searching the scene where Will's bike was recovered, and it's starting to thunder and rain. From there, it cuts quickly to Steve studying with Nancy, and Steve introduces the game of strip studying, where he's helping Nancy with her flashcards and wants, if she gets it right, he takes off a piece of clothing. If she gets it wrong, she has to take a piece of clothing. That doesn't end up happening because instead they start making out to the song Africa by Toto.
Yep.
Which I still find
which
strange.
Is so perfect at the time that the music swells in the show, which we haven't even talked about the sound design. Every song that they use, every way that they use the sound in the show is so perfect. I mean, the way during Benny's murder, they use this kind of Quentin Tarantino style of like a classic oldies
intense
song,
rock,
kind of raising up in volume. But yeah, we hear an extremely popular song, probably at the time in '83 when
I was just looking it up.
Probably just come out.
1982. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
the song's been on the radio for less than a year.
So,
yep.
Yeah, so it's a hit song on the radio, but yeah, it's raining outside. The boys are in that rain. We're about to see something else in the rain, and we hear the "I bless the rains down in Africa" as Steve and Nancy are studying each other instead of their flashcards.
They're playing tonsil hockey, and then eventually they get back to studying, and we fade from there. After that, we cut to the Byers' house, and Jonathan and his mom are sitting on the couch, and they're essentially crying together and apologizing together for what they feel are all of their shortcomings as a mother or as a son. And then
they're coming together as a family because they have a hard work ahead of them.
She says, "It's not your fault." And then she says, "He's close. I feel it in my heart. Trust me on this." So she's saying that as if to say, I don't think he ran away. I don't think he's in Indianapolis with his dad. I just feel like he's close. And then the phone rings. This second time the phone rings. Well, second time we interact with the Byers
Yep.
phone. It rings. She picks it up. It's just static at first, and then she hears breathing. There's
Yep.
some chittering on the other line. We kind of hear some more of those very whirly sounding, crazy,
Yep.
otherworldly sounds. And she starts to think that it's Will breathing. And before she can get anything else out of the phone, she essentially gets electrocuted by it. Something comes through the phone
Yeah.
and
The
zaps her
phone.
with.
Yep. It fries the phone. I mean, the phone
Mhm.
is black. The handset is black,
Yep.
and she's distraught. And again, we are led to believe, or we're inclined to believe her when she thinks it's Will.
Hmm.
To this point, she's not shown to be crazy, or again, the way they've set up this world to be so believable. These characters, we're led to
Yeah.
believe that they're genuine when they say something. So when she says Will, she's asking, Will, can you hear me?
Yep.
We don't we're not led to believe that she's mistaken in that. We think that she's being genuine, which is a theme we see, but um
Yes. Even though she's a
we're so
frantic character, we believe her reactions are just honest and not psychotic. She's not making things up. She's not hallucinating or
yeah.
whatever the audio equivalent is. She's
And
literally
then
just being
we're led to ask
tortured.
the question of, if it really is Will on the other side of that phone, where is he, and where does he have access? How does he have access to a phone to call her? Or is this phone, because we've already seen the phone not really do what we need it to do for Will,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, that, what is this phone accessing that we don't
Yeah.
know about yet? So more
Depending
more
on,
questions are
yep.
being placed.
From there, it cuts to the boys in the woods, and they're getting rained on pretty heavy, and they're all getting kind of spooked out. Uh,
They've chosen to stay in the rain. I think there was a discussion that they might, hey, let's just turn around and
yep.
go home.
And they decide to stick it out a little longer, and they hear a noise. Sounds like a branch. Someone stepped on something, and simultaneously, they all turn their heads and flashlights. And who do they see? Well, they probably
The
thought it's
girl.
a bald boy. At
Yeah.
first, they're like, "What's
Yeah,
this
that's
big?"
true.
But yeah, here
Yeah.
is the first
Whatever
time
it
we
is that they
see.
think they see, they are
Couldn't be more shocked.
surprised, to say the least.
It's
Yeah.
not Will who they wanted to find. It's not Will.
Yeah. And
Instead,
actually, who we might have been led to believe it was on a
we
first
would have been
watch.
hoping. That's true. We would. That's very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
We would have been hoping that here he is found in the woods. But
Yeah.
and the
Yep.
first episode ends with a shot of
And that's it.
11 in the rain. Hmm.
Yeah. And the decision was made collectively around the world at that moment that uh, one episode is not going to be enough of the show. Yeah.
No, not. I
But when you and
wonder.
I watched it, I remember it was a late night. It was probably 3 o'clock in the morning before we stopped watching, however many episodes we watched that night.
Yeah,
Because
I
our
wonder
initial thought was, well, let's just give it one episode because it wasn't really our type of show. And we
when it
watched it
first came
together that
out
first
though.
night.
When it first came out, did they release a bunch at once, or I wonder if it was one episode a week because that would have been
I don't remember
really
specifically,
difficult.
but I do remember by the time we got into it, many episodes had been released already. I don't
Yes.
remember how they actually released it because I wasn't anticipating it. And
Yep.
it came out in July of 2016. We didn't watch it until
That fall
probably
sometime.
September, October.
Yeah. I think the final season this year is, I think I read that it's going to release in three phases. Like some
Yes,
episodes in
it'll be
November,
4, 3, and 1. 4 episodes on Thanksgiving,
November.
3 at Christmas, and then the finale on New Year's Eve or New Year's
Interesting.
Day, one of the two. But yeah, it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, 4, 3, 1.
That's going to be crazy.
Can't wait. Well, this was fun. Um, we'll keep this going for the next
For 30
episode, season 1,
30
episode 2. But
33 more episodes. Perhaps in our future episodes, we won't be quite as long-winded and philosophical. Who knows? Maybe every episode will garner this much deep thought, but they'll essentially
we have
all be
a lot
recaps.
of world building in this first episode.
And every episode will be a spoiler.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we assume most of our listeners are going to have seen the show before, but if not,
sure.
Maybe watch it before our episode so that you can know what we're talking about. But if you've stumbled upon this podcast, we're so thankful that you've come for the ride, and we hope that you enjoy it, and tell your friends about it, and you can enjoy the nostalgia of the show along with us every episode. So we had a lot of fun, and we'll see you in the next episode. Yeah.